It is 1 o'clock in the morning. I should be sleeping right now.
We are go for liftoff in T minus 30.
And we're back. We're just going to take it down and do our first movie review on the channel. And
Yep.
we're going to go over Mad Max because we just saw that. And yeah, so that's a good starting point for this segment. This
Excellent
kinda thing.
starting point, I would say.
Incredible. So, we probably won't be funny or terribly entertaining, but we'll be pretty informative. So,
What do
You'll
you mean
learn.
we're not going to be fun? We're going to be fucking hilarious. These motherfuckers are going to die laughing.
Now Alex had seen the original Mad Max. I hadn't seen any of them, and I don't think it's necessary to see the old ones. It stands on its own, which is pretty cool. Though it does
It references a lot of
reference
things
an old
from
one.
the first one without explicitly telling you like what it is.
But you don't need to know.
You
It's
don't
just it's
necessarily
pretty
need
apparent.
to know, yeah.
It's like his daughter died or something.
He had two other companions, and it's not even made clear whether or not they were his family or not at certain points. But yeah, they end up dying.
Yeah.
And that's referenced as well as like mental issues and things that aren't really gone into too much depth, but they're more focused in the past movies, the like original installments in the series that happened.
That was weird.
But you know, it doesn't ruin anything. I think it's good because like people who haven't seen the movies can go into it and really enjoy it without having to worry about all of it. But for people who are already fans of the series, it's not like it totally disregards the events of the past two movies.
Yeah. So, well, what really stood out for me was I'm like kind of hit or miss with action movies. I think sometimes you get a good one, and the action, which I think this one was, you get a good one where the action adds a lot to it, and sometimes you get shitty ones where the action scenes come in and they don't mean anything, and it's kind of like a musical where you have to stop for everyone to sing, and the story just doesn't go anywhere until it's over.
I like that comparison.
And just kind of waiting, feeling let down. Kind of like, like a little bit in the new Avengers movie that Alex and I were talking about in one of the Sly Cooper episodes.
Right.
There's a Hulk versus Iron Man fight, which, like,
Look, I'm glad I got to see the Hulk and Iron Man fight. Don't get me wrong, but it had nothing to do with the plot. Like they didn't work it in.
Like
in
it
any
made
kind
sense
of,
with the plot, but it was
it didn't
really
add to it.
It was for the sake of having it in the movie. They could have
Right.
they could have done it in a way where it made
Like
were
linear
added to
sense in a storytelling kind of way, because a lot of that movie had great visuals. A lot of the dialogue was witty and cool, like I said, but it suffered for like how kind of, I don't know, it didn't have much of a plot, you know?
early on. The pacing was weird with the battles in the. We're talking about the Avengers now, the new one,
Right.
not Mad Max.
Right.
We might as well just review both at this point. Do you want to?
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
we kind of did the Avengers. Let's start with the Avengers.
High points.
Yeah,
of
high
the
points.
Avengers.
High points to the Avengers. I liked the dynamic between them, minus Captain America. And
Worst fucking superhero, man.
That and we're superhero in well-known movies right now. I bet we could find worse superheroes than Captain America. Are you kidding?
I don't know. He's just my least favorite.
Of the superheroes in these movies, yeah, I agree.
Well,
he's way too like.
there's been a lot of Nicolas Cage superhero movies that were just awful.
Want to review Ghost Rider also? No, I'm
Jesus
joking.
Christ.
No, but what's it called? So Captain America was just very dry, and then I liked Black Widow. the Hulk, he didn't really do anything.
Yeah, and they had that like unnecessary side plot with like him falling in love with what's her name and
yeah. So Black Widow and the Hulk are falling in love.
yeah.
And each of them, I think they're cool individually. I guess, like I'm realizing the Hulk hardly had a role to play in this, except for his
Yeah.
fight with Iron Man. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Am
it
I
was
forgetting?
his role was a lot of fan service, and they don't really develop his character. They just like show this consistent problem where he feels like he has to. I mean, I guess in the end, where he, I mean, no, spoiler alert right now, but
Wait, no, we'll do spoiler alert at the end.
okay, all
the
right,
end of the
I'll
episode.
save this. Then.
So yeah, keep your spoilers in mind. Anyway, so it was good in that respect. Like there were some good dynamic between the Avengers. The villain, I talked about this in the Sly Cooper session. The villain, I couldn't really buy it. I couldn't get into it. It was really
It was goofy.
Glad you asked that because I wanted to take this time to explain my evil plan.
it was but not in a good way. Not in the way I think they meant. It was all right, so the thing with the Marvel movies is they try to sneak in little bits of humor here and there because it's
A lot of it's humor. Yeah,
that's kind of their thing. Yeah, there's a lot of humor, and that worked.
which is good. It's a good
there
thing ultimately.
that worked pretty well with a lot of it between the dynamic of the Avengers and whatever. But, like, then with the villain, they didn't even set him up fully as a villain yet, and like you're still kind of in that process of, oh, what are his motives? What is he doing? Like you really don't know anything about him yet, other than that he's supposed to be the villain. You're supposed to think he's evil, and they're already making him make these stupid jokes. I don't remember what he said, but he's talking to some other bad guys, and he just in the middle of what he's saying, he's like, I don't know, something goofy, and he's like, I don't know, blah blah blah. Anyway, the Avengers. Let's get the Avengers.
People create smaller people. Children. I lost the word there.
Is that why you've come? To end the Avengers?
I've come to save the world. But also, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
a lot of I don't know. It's kind of weird because he seemed like he was trying to be like self-aware about how cliche he was being, and he would like say these lines like "I'm gonna destroy humanity because that is saving the world" or something, and just something like they made him too transparent, but at the same time like not transparent at all. He was like naive and. I guess thought he was doing the right thing, but at the same time he was like, "Mwahaha, I'm evil" in some scenes, and like,
Yeah, you know what? He really acted like he was aware he was evil.
yeah,
Oh man, it's just.
but he had this. He did it with like naivete. It was weird. It was a weird combination of personality traits for a robot too.
It was a really weird villain. I don't know. I didn't really like.
You'd think like a robot like computer-y villain would be like, I am logical. Like this is my complex computer processing power to solve this, and I will do it in the most efficient way.
The way they animated him too was just way too human. For a robot, like. Yeah, I mean, but I don't know, but like his. I mean, I don't know how it goes in the comics exactly, but I felt like metal was moving like flesh on his face in a way it shouldn't have. It didn't.
I like the Vision. The Vision was cool.
Well, we'll get to the Vision.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't really like and he spoke like really dry and deep like this.
Yeah.
Because I guess that's what villains do. They speak like this.
You're wondering why you can't look inside my head.
And then he's in
will
the form of
destroy the Avengers.
in the form of one of those I'm the villain so I can say whatever I want and it'll still scare you kind of things. He's like flying away and he's singing from Pinocchio. He's like, I've got no strings to hold me down, and it's supposed to be like, oh no,
No strings on me.
he's not confined to a computer. He has his own metallic body. But
Dude, I got stoked
was
when
so
I heard that
bad.
sample though, just because the way I originally know that is from an Immortal Technique song, where it's I'm trying to think of it's not Obnoxious, but it's from Volume 2. and he samples the "I've got no strings," blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah, but it sounds really badass. So I kept hearing that loop in my head when that was happening. I was like, "Oh, this makes it so much more badass." If they used the Immortal Technique song, it would have been way cooler, like a fucking hip hop beat with the robot. That always works. Hip hop.
That'd be really weird if they did that. And yeah, I don't know. Anyway, they introduced a new Avenger in. Well, I guess a couple, but the most significant one is called Vision.
Le Vision.
I thought he was done really well.
Yeah, he was cool.
We can't really say too much about him because it's kind of, like a lot of his character is spoilery because he shows up towards the end.
Right, and he's really only like introduced in this movie so that he doesn't have to be introduced in the next one. Which this whole movie,
I think that makes sense too. They don't have to spend time setting him up in the next one.
Right.
Because that was a smart idea, and also I guess I mean he's part of it of this one, and I guess maybe. I mean, in the movie, he came about due to actions taken by the villain, and I don't know if that's how it goes in the comics.
The villain and also Tony Stark and also Thor, they all have their hand in his creation, and the way they end up, like his genesis in this movie is actually really cool, and the running joke about Thor's hammer, which works really well in the movie. And I think is like it's funny because they're kind of they're joking around about like what are the actual physics of that item because what does it actually weigh and blah blah blah. And it's a recurring joke that no one else can pick it up but Thor, but because Thor's involved in the Vision's creation at the end.
Because Thor is worthy of picking it up, that's why.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Vision picks up the hammer at the end and nobody says anything, and it's a joke that works throughout the entire movie.
It's a joke with a lot of meaning, just to show there was some not that it's really like
on the other side of the joke coin though we had Captain America.
Should we do that again? We talked about a lot of this in Psych Uber, but I guess we got to get into that. Oh man,
we just got to run over that real quick like a fucking rabbit in the road.
Do you want to reenact that scene? The first scene of the movie. Language. He's Tony Stark. I'm Captain America. Start over.
Shit.
Language.
Pew, pew, pew,
move to the top of the mountain.
Is anyone else gonna like acknowledge that Captain America just said
No.
language?
That Cap just said language.
The Cap.
I'm never gonna live this one down. It's okay. Yeah, Captain America calls out Tony Stark for swearing. It's the first thing that happens in the movie during some battle.
It's the worst joke, and it's the way they.
And it was a
open the
recurring
movie.
joke.
My expectations lowered vastly as soon as I heard that joke.
It was
still a good movie though.
That was very clearly not a case of, oh, hey, this is a clever idea, let's put it in. That was like, oh, hey, we need a running joke. Yeah. Let's do this.
I feel like they wrote the entire movie and then they were like, wait, we never wrote an introduction, so they just put them in a battle and just gave them shit dialogue.
Yeah, no, the introduction was kind of.
But I don't know. I never saw the first one, so was that?
No, that had nothing to do with the first one.
Really? There wasn't like a battle scene at the end that like made that make sense.
No, The first one. Okay, here I'm just gonna.
They were in Russia, right?
Yeah,
I wasn't.
The first one
okay
ended itself.
Yeah.
It was its own self-contained unit. Then you had a couple other superhero movies,
right,
where they took down like
3 Captain American movies or something.
Villains, and then like individually. They could all handle villains individually, but then they needed to reassemble the Avengers to break into a poorly guarded Russian fort.
Right.
With no actual opposition. I don't know why they needed the Avengers for that. Just, we'll need them down the road, but we don't know that yet. I don't know. So that was...
So lots of plot holes in this movie, but like
the beginning was the thing
that
worst
makes
part.
This movie good is that it's mostly lighthearted. It's like a summer fucking action movie where you get the romance, you get the fucking explosions,
you get the romance, that's
you
what
get
I'm
the
looking
robots, you get it's like you go see that movie with like anyone, you'll probably have a decent time.
Mm-hmm.
And like
it was overall a good
movie.
Be. It's unfortunate that the good parts are in the spoilery section towards the end, so we can't really talk about them much.
Right.
The ending I liked. I thought
liked
the ending was
too.
very good. But yeah, I mean,
So I think
Yeah.
let's talk about Mad Max now.
Let's talk about Mad Max in the next episode.
Oh yeah.
All right,
All
so
right, cool.
well, yeah, like we had meant to originally in this episode.
Yeah.
We'll get back to Mad Max in the next episode. So see you. Yeah.